Do you find it challenging to fulfill requests to create or refresh database clones for your users and developers in a timely manner? Are you looking to improve efficiency? If so, the Nutanix Database Service has a solution to help you manage your production database copies quickly and efficiently. Hello, I'm David Teague, your friendly neighborhood technical market engineer. Before joining Nutanix, I worked as a database administrator, spending significant time creating copies of production environments for testing. This is where NDB comes into play, as it simplifies and streamlines the process of creating and tracking multiple test databases that can be used for development, testing, or quality assurance, as well as keeping those databases up to date on a schedule. Let's dive into NDB and get started. From the NDB console, let's head into the database. I'm going to show you a quick overview of provisioning Microsoft SQL Server Availability Database. So from the Databases page, we will click Sources, then Provision SQL Server, then Availability Database. On this first page, we will assign a Windows cluster name, determine which Nutanix clusters we want the database replicas to reside on, select the network profile, which sets the network the SQL servers will use, and select the Windows domain profile. We can enable WinRM over HTTPS and choose the type of witness we want to use for this cluster. Then we will select Next. On the next page, we will select the software profile, which is a template with the database software already installed, a compute profile which sets how much memory and CPUs the database VMs require, and set the Windows Administrator password. We can add replicas to this availability group cluster and rename the database servers. You will also select your database parameter profile and grant Windows account access to administer the SQL Server. Once everything is set, click Next. On the AG page, we will name our availability group and select the availability mode and if the secondary is readable. You can also select where you want the database backups to be retrieved from. Once we are happy with those settings, click Next. Now we will set up our database group name, and select your database parameter profile. You can also use a database backup to provision the database in NDB. This is helpful for migration. Once this is set, click Next. On the Time Machine page, we are going to select our SLA. Since this is a production database, we will choose an SLA with log backups. Once we are happy with the time and snapshots per day, we can move on to the final page. On this page, you can select Automated Database Patching using maintenance windows. Once you click Provision, you will have a fully functional SQL Availability Group database in a short time. Your company has been developing a customer management application using a Microsoft SQL database. There is already a development environment set up from an existing cluster, so now we need to set up a test environment for testing. Heading back to the main menu, we will scroll down to the Time Machine section under Data Protection, then click List. We will then select the time machine for this database, then select Actions, then choose Create Database Clone. We will select a database. You can create an availability database from your clone. But we only need a standalone database for this database clone. On the next screen, we will select the database we want to clone. Then click Next. The dates highlighted show snapshots that are available on the production Nutanix cluster. We will select a date, then choose the snapshot, then select Next. We will create a new server to host the QA team's database. Therefore, we will leave Create New Server selected and set the server name. Then we will select the compute profile, then the network profile. You can have multiple network profiles in NDB, so if you have a separate test network due to security requirements, you can select that profile with the correct network. Then set the administrator password, select the domain we are going to join, and set the administrator account to manage the SQL Server. You can also enable WinRM over HTTPS. We will then move on to the next page. On the database group screen, we will set the database group clone name. We will use the option to customize the database name. The next option we will set is where the magic happens. If we click Schedule, we can set a time and the frequency with which we would like the VM to refresh from the source. I am doing this on a Monday, so I will choose 5 a.m. and repeat every 7 days. You can also choose a removal schedule. If you need to spin up a database only for a short period of time, you could select Remove Schedule and remove that database after a specific period. Both of these features will help you save time when managing database copies, as you can refresh from the source database automatically and remove the database when it is no longer needed for testing. Once I click Clone, this will start cloning from the source database. While that clone job runs, let's go to the dev database we set up earlier. I did not set a refresh schedule, so I will do that now. I will open the menu, choose Databases, then click Clone. I am going to select the CRM Data Dev database, which will take me to the database details page. Under Schedule, you can create update or remove schedules. I am going to create a refresh schedule. Now I will set a time or frequency to refresh this database from the source. Also on this screen, if you click refresh, you can refresh the database from any of the snapshots that are in NDB, even if you have a refresh schedule. This allows you to refresh your databases on demand. I will click refresh, select a date and a snapshot to refresh the clone from, and click refresh to start the refresh process. If we head to the operations page, we can see the initial clone creation you saw took about 30 minutes to create from the source. The clone refresh took about 9 minutes. NDB clones are thin and space efficient, so if the source database was 10 terabytes, the clones will not be, since they only track changes in the clones. NDB can help you save time by effectively managing multiple copies of your source databases. It simplifies the process of creating additional clones and ensures they stay up to date with the source database through customizable refresh schedules, keeping your developers and QA teams satisfied. This is just the beginning of what you can achieve with NDB. Everything demonstrated in this video can also be accomplished using APIs and automation. You can learn more about how NDB works by clicking on the NDB playlist below. To experience what I did in this video, head over to the NDB test drive at nutanix.com/test-ndb.